Hello friends, Judy Herman here. I am so glad to meet with you. And I have some really awesome things to share today. So first of all, I want to kind of describe, I am the author of Beyond Messy Relationships, Divine Invitations to Your Authentic Self. I am also a mental health counselor. And people ask and they kind of wonder, and I need to be upfront and clear, I am a counselor who is a Christian and has that worldview, yet I'm very comfortable dealing with anyone who is a human being, right? No matter what your spiritual orientation is. Okay, but I do see the world through a Christian viewpoint, and I did write my book, though, in such a way that it would draw more than just a Christian audience, because I quote Thich Nhat Hanh in my book as well. But my spirituality is very important to me, and I wanted to share some things that has been really good for my mental health, and then also I want to share the main thing is that what your next step is to mental and relational wellness, and how ancient wisdom aligns with neuroscience. Hang with me because this is really important. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and just as a disclosure, this is not a substitute for professional counseling services. We know this. This is psychoeducational only. But I want to share with you something that to me was an aha, profound. One thing I've learned about growing up with scripture and having a custom throughout several seasons of my life of reading scripture, of absorbing it, of hanging on to it for gospel truth, is that it's living. Like there's a certain scripture that you might come across and it doesn't even make sense to you. But then at later years, there's these ahas. And that's exactly what happened actually this morning. And by the way, I'm purposefully out here because this is my front porch swing. And in the prologue of my book, I talk about being on my front porch swing because it's sturdy and secure enough to hold my weight. And yet, our lives and our relationships can be like a swing, like a roller coaster, and we don't know which way we're going. But anyway, it's just a little analogy, but I do make mention of that in my book, Beyond Messy Relationships. And I give you plenty of techniques, obviously, to help you. I show up as a therapist at the beginning of each of the chapters, so I want to help you that you're not just reading my story, but you're reading your story within the illustrations of my story and what I'm sharing. So back to your next step to mental and relational wellness and how ancient wisdom aligns with neuroscience. So I was reading in the Gospel of John this morning. It was the Gospel of John, chapter 5, and 1 to 15. Now, I'm just saying I'm not a theologian, right? But I study Scripture, and it's a part of me. It's part of who I am, and my life as a Christian has evolved. Okay, just to let you know. So I came across, hey Olga, I came across a passage of Scripture that may be very familiar with both of you, and it's not both of you, but most of you. But it is something I was really familiar with, and whatever you're familiar with, you kind of have already these already stories. Oh yeah, I know this already. But this really jumped out at me about how Jesus himself used cognitive behavioral therapy in this situation. So it's based on the Gospel of John, chapter 5, and it is about the man who was sitting by the pool and waiting for the waters to stir, and when the angels came, and then he could be healed. So that's the setting. The setting is Jerusalem, and it's at the Sheep Gate pool, and there's 5 porches. Well, I'm interested in 5 porches. I love sitting on my porch, right? But also, you know what? I have this burning desire to travel to Jerusalem and other parts of the world big time. I have really had a desire to travel internationally, and I'm so excited. So that's kind of what hit me this morning. But secondly, so we have settings, and then we have the situation. We have the situation of the handicapped man who had this infirmity for like 38 years. And here's the story that Jesus encounters this man. I kind of have to pull up my notes. There's 2 things actually that have been really, really helpful for me in my mental health and my growth and development, and also getting me through and beyond messy relationships has been 2 things. Journal writing on a regular basis, by the way. I was able to have lots of resources from going back and kind of remembering where I've been and and used a lot of stories, that were pretty accurate. I mean, according to my memory of them in my memoir. So, but this, and then also, scripture, ancient wisdom, and again, whatever you are drawn to, really want to respect your faith and your perspective. But here we have the setting in Jerusalem. We have the situation of the physically handicapped man for 38 years, okay? And then we have this story. And so Jesus asked this man the obvious. Do you want to be well? Are you kidding me? I mean, and maybe that's a question we all need to ask our clients. If you're a mental health therapist or you work with people, do you really want to be well? Do you really want to have a peaceful relationship? Well, Jesus asked this man a rhetorical question, and the man came back with saying, well, you know what? I've been sitting here for a long time. He's given him all kinds of excuses. I don't have anybody to help me get into the pool and this and that. And so, and again, I'm not a theologian. Please don't mistake this. This is not a sermon, but just I want you to connect this mental wellness, neuroscience relationship, right? And so Jesus asks him, but he challenged this man into a deeper want. In other words, do you really want to be well? And he challenged his belief, and he challenged his automatic thoughts by even asking that question, and all these things came out of why he wasn't well and why he hadn't gotten well. So then, of course, he tells the man to go and he got up and he was well all of a sudden, right? He was well. And so I think this is a really interesting thing, because our thoughts will keep us from living by faith. Our thoughts will keep us from even knowing what it looks like to be well, knowing what even that picture is. It'll keep us stuck. And Jesus he just told him what to do, and of course the man was immediately healed. And then, so we got number one, we have the setting, we have the setting and the situation, and then we have the story. Remember yesterday I was talking about the narrative. We have a thing that happens, and then we have the story about that. Well, the story about that with the Pharisees and everybody else criticizing what happened is, well, you're not supposed to take up your bed and walk on the Sabbath, right? And then it was interesting how in this very same story, Jesus encounters this man again post-healing. And Jesus helped him to think correctly about this. And I don't know if I wrote all of this down, but he was helping him to have the correct and truthful narrative about this, because he said, I know what it was. He says, on the story, let me go back, with the Pharisees, when they say it's not lawful to take up your bed and walk, well, here we're hit with what you call false guilt. There's false guilt, and then there's true guilt. And that's what that was. That story could be false guilt that you're living with. And then Jesus said to this man, go and sin no more. Well, does Scripture say that this man, it was his sin that caused his infirmity? No. Does Jesus say go and sin no more? But what we know about this man is the question that Jesus asked, which is, do you want to be well? And we do know these thoughts and beliefs came out of this man about why he wasn't well and why he couldn't be well. Right? So I'm wondering if we could interpret this go and sin no more as attacking the false beliefs and thoughts. Now, isn't that profound? Because it's true, isn't it? So what is your next step? See, here's what we need for mental health and wellness and relational wellness. We do need to be thinking, challenge our beliefs. Like I said yesterday, our beliefs that we are living with day in and day out were formed before the age of 5 years old. And when we were 5, we believed Santa Claus came down the chimney. Well, we need to challenge our other thoughts that we're living with, that were established as 5-year-olds, that are not our thoughts and they're not true thoughts. And I believe in this passage of Scripture in John chapter 5, Jesus was doing just that. Anyway, that's my interpretation and story. So ponder that, because that's what scriptures are supposed to be, right? We're supposed to ponder and not come to conclusions, this is the way it is, forever and ever, amen, don't even speak about it again. That's not even healthy to do. What we need to do is get our thoughts out of our minds, and that's why I said there's nothing more powerful, in my opinion, than actually journal writing and getting those thoughts out. As long as those thoughts are in there and they're false beliefs, they make so much sense in our heads, right? It's good mental health to write them out in a journal. It's good mental health even to go around and verbalize these thoughts, because they make so much sense in the head. And then when you're verbalizing them, wow, that doesn't make sense. I hear that all the time. I get all that a lot. And my false thoughts seem so true until I do get them out and evaluate them and realize, whoa, that's not even true. So anyway, there you have it. What's your next step? Oh, please download the first 3 chapters of my book if you haven't already, if you just want a little sample of it, first 3 chapters of Beyond Messy Relationships. And you can get that for free to see if you want to go to the next level and order the Kindle or the Audible or the author signed copy, or getting it wherever books are sold. So I'd love for you to do that. And there's more to the story, of course. And this is my first book of many to come. All right. I'm just busting with writing, by the way, and sharing my story, because it is very powerful and it's very healing. And you know what? We don't go through our experiences and stuff in our lives just to stay stuck. I'm at a point where I want to live my life fully, and I know you got what it takes to do that as well, because your story is unique and valuable, and you are a person of dignity and worthiness and love, and don't let any thoughts tell you otherwise. Have a great day, and here's my book. You're going to see it backwards, but there it is. Okay, so anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.